Sunrise in this small country town north of Port-au-Prince. A father with his son peers over the hills just as we did. And what we found we won't forget. Trenches, more than a dozen of them, filled with victims of the earthquake. In just 1 week's time, they'd already counted 75,000 bodies dumped here. This worker told us these are human beings. Look at the way these trucks dump them. Both men pointed out there have been no rituals, no memorials, no goodbyes. And this is sunrise at the airport, an hour away in Port-au-Prince. Crates of food, water, and medicine litter the tarmac everywhere we looked, except here. We flew over Port-au-Prince and the cities and towns to the west.
This is actually Carrefour, the epicenter of the earthquake. As you can see, the homes on the mountainside here have given way just as they did in Port-au-Prince. The devastation enormous here as well.
The cross on this church, all that is left. But what strikes us most, the victims on the ground who begin waving for help. The aid had not reached them. UN Special Envoy to Haiti, former President Bill Clinton, nearly a week after the earthquake.
What would you say, Mr. President, to the people who waved to us from the ground today as we flew over those towns and villages where they haven't seen anything?
I would tell them that there are also a lot of people here who have had no sleep, no water, no food. But the world is pouring help into here.
Does it frustrate you, though, Mr. President, to see all the food here a week into this?
Absolutely. All I know is they're doing better today than they did yesterday, and they're going to do better tomorrow.
1 week after the earthquake, the World Food Organization said it had fed 250,000 Haitians. But even President Clinton acknowledged the need is staggering. 2 million are hungry. Hungry for food and for an escape. On the main road west out of Port-au-Prince, it is impossible to miss the mass exodus. Haitians carrying their only belongings on trucks bursting at the seams.
What do you have with you?
His suitcase, he tells me. He has land in the countryside, but no guarantee it will be any better. There are no guarantees here. SOS signs line the road and then were suddenly stopped. They had just discovered a dump truck had left 8 bodies beside the road.
8 dead here.
8?
8 dead. They don't have anybody to help them.
Everyone shields their noses. And then the lone UN volunteer asks us, do we have a mask for him?
Is this what you were looking for?
Okay, thank you very much.
He then leads us to the frantic effort to do something with the bodies.
It's a gruesome scene along this highway. You can see that they're hand digging the graves here using a pick to bury their loved ones.
These are the towns outside the capital and outside the worldwide spotlight. This police station destroyed. Every crypt in this cemetery cracked wide open. And then this man stunned us when we simply asked if the hospital up the road is helping the sick.
The doctors and nurses are dead?
Dead.
The hospital had collapsed. 10 patients died. And on the ground behind the hospital, a coffin for the pharmacist. At the nursing school next door, 7 young nurses dead. A lone shoe covered in dust, an unfinished notebook. And the hospital director shows us the buried photos of the nurses he lost.
I saw my children, dying in my face.
You saw your children dying. Your nursing students.
Yeah.
Inside the hospitals that are up and running, growing desperation from patients and the doctors. We went to find the only makeshift hospital in Carrefour, the walking wounded, a sign we were close.
Were you waiting for help since the earthquake?
This woman had part of her foot amputated with scissors. Her sister helps her walk home.
Hospital? This way?
We find the tent. Inside, the sounds of pain.
These are our ambulances here.
And the lead surgeon, who tells us they're running out of supplies.
We don't have instruments, we don't have plaster of Paris.
He tells us of a mother undergoing an emergency cesarean after her placenta ruptured. She was bleeding out, and they have no blood here. He allows me into surgery holding a small camera, and as we turn the corner, there was the mother.
How is the mother doing?
They had just pulled the baby out.
Where is the baby?
The baby's just there.
Hey.
Aww. Is it a baby boy or a girl?
It's a boy and garçon.
What a world to arrive in.
What a world to arrive in.
The mother survived too.
These are the cases we're dealing with trauma. Here's the little boy that had...
The surgeon then shows me a younger patient whose leg had to be amputated after gangrene set in.
Really, this little boy should have had surgery 12 to 24 hours before. We're short of these very small instruments.
The lack of supplies delaying even the most urgent cases. And on this day, Doctors Without Borders tells us that only 5 of their 13 planes have been allowed to land, the rest diverted. At the airport, we ask why.
Doctors Without Borders said they sent 13 airplanes and only 5 have been able to land.
Right. One, that's not true, and we have the numbers to refute that.
So how many have landed?
I don't have that for you.
Air Force Chief Tyler Foster did acknowledge the aid group's planes had been diverted, as had other planes. This tiny airport, he says, has just 8 slots on the tarmac and quickly backs up.
Falcon 419er.
Air Force combat controllers, now air traffic controllers, guiding the planes in.
119.1. You guys have a safe flight.
The chief took us to the Haitian in charge of air traffic control here.
Is there anyone saying that this kind of plane with this kind of supply should come in first? Is there any preference right now?
I mean, it's on the first come, first served basis.
Frustrated with our questions, he takes us upstairs to show us the flight lists with the planes that have come in with medicine.
Doctor, nurses, surgical supplies. You know, it's all coming. It's all coming.
I don't see any Doctors Without Borders on here.
They didn't put any requests in.
Within an hour of our visit to the tarmac, Doctors Without Borders tells us their 6th plane has landed. More medicine. But on the streets of Port-au-Prince, the people are asking about something else. The water.